I think part of it was that I was really jealous of the people who wrote really nicely in school. Like, it just seemed very natural to them. So I thought if I practiced enough, that it would start to look like that. I wanted to have pretty handwriting. Spencerian and copperplate are what a lot of people would imagine when they think of calligraphy. It's the really like elegant, swoopy handwriting. It's very technical and specific, those ones. Whereas I think like now there's also modern calligraphy, they'll call it. So people use like brush calligraphy, which can be done with like actual like brush pens or paintbrushes. I think calligraphy for me is just like the intentional sort of handwriting and wanting to make like something that's more displayed. Handwriting or your penmanship is just like your day-to-day. It can be fast, it can be easy. And there's like lettering, which focuses on like each part as like part of a larger piece. But calligraphy feels so specific in that you like intentionally want to make like this word, this paragraph very almost like uniformly beautiful. Even if you're using like a very like varied style of calligraphy, you're still wanting it to look the same. There's just a lot of artistic intention behind it. There's so many different pens that it's a lot of fun to be able to figure out what you like. But like I got into fountain pens, and once getting into there, there's also all the options of like what nib sizes you want. You can just go from extra fine to like bold. Some inks will have like a particular sheen to them. Like an oil slick, you can see like different colors reflecting off of it. There's just like certain papers that I think, especially more for fountain pen usage, it does make a huge difference. So certain papers are better to be able to keep the lines crisp, essentially. But the properties of some of the papers will show off some of the properties of the ink. You can have just what is in your house and start whenever you feel like it. There's a couple of artists that I've seen who their calligraphy is beautiful and they use pencils or they use a ballpoint pen. They've practiced so much that it comes out really nice. But it's funny because when I started, like I didn't like my own penmanship because I was comparing it to other people's a lot. Like I'd see some of my like friends and I would think their penmanship or their handwriting is so pretty, but they have the same thing. I can be like super hypercritical because I've seen those posts that inspired me to do it and because they were so amazing. I want mine to look like that. And it's hard when you're initially comparing yourself, especially if you're a perfectionist and in the beginning. Usually when I'm starting like something new, it's either because I feel like I haven't done it in a while and I don't want to become too rusty. And sometimes it's just the inspiration will strike because I'm watching something or I hear someone say something. That could be something that feels like it could be on a coaster or it could hang on my wall. Sometimes like I'll do a specific style and I'll just kind of do that throughout a couple of pieces. I will have to go through and pick the colors that I want, which is a very fun process because I get to go through like swatches and stuff or feel like what feels right. But I think I was just trying to make sure I had like a different range of the blues that I had, and then I made a key based on the date of the calendar for this one. And I am trying to go through the colors that I have. So this is my green page that I just finished. It's like a individual swatch book, and it's fairly common for fountain pen users. So even though like I don't use this as my main swatching method, I like to swatch on the actual people like I'll write on. I will practice layout, especially if it's like more than one word. It's being able to see like how things are laid out on your piece of paper. And usually I just use sticky notes for that because it's informal and just wanting to get a feel of where things should fit. Yeah, and then I just kind of go for it and I hope that it turns out well. Yeah, if I'm learning like a new style or like new typeface that I really enjoy, then usually my first thing is to try to understand if they're similar, like if all of the strokes are going the same way or the same angle, or if the curves are all a certain manner, because at least then if you get those consistent, it's almost like a good foundation and you get a better understanding of what it is you're trying to emulate. And my problem is that I will, like, it'll go off kilter because I'm not using a grid or lines underneath it. So I can practice, like I'll mess it up, I'll flip to the next page and I'll try it again. The nature of like ink, since it dries so fast, and if I were to go over it again, it'll be very obvious where it's like pooling a second time or where another line has started from the same one. Then I think that's why like I usually leave it as it is. It's nice knowing that when I give like a card or something to friends, it just feels like I've actually made the effort to make this card for them or like write out their name, and it's not like a quick scribble and I'm passing it along. It's just like a really quick way to give someone else joy when they see that you've made that effort for them. Well, I think one of the reasons that I was even comfortable posting was mostly because I saw how welcoming everyone felt. Like when someone asked questions, there were people who genuinely wanted to answer, because having people who want to do it is exciting. And I knew like if I became part of it, that it would still be just as welcoming. If you like pens, like you're in. Just like the same joy you could get from reading a book, because every time it can be something different. It doesn't always have to be the same thing, and there's just something for everyone. If like calligraphy or handwriting of any sort is something that you're interested in, and if I decide like, oh, this feels a little bit hard for me today, or I'm just like, I don't know, it feels like I'm not driving with it right now, I can just do something else. And there's just so many options right now that I feel like it is easy to find what it is that fits for you. The only sort of foundation that you need is, can you write? And that's kind of it.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe to discover more hobbies and visit notjustahobby.com to learn more.
Oh, yeah, that's